to chair the 40th GST Council meeting today via video conferencing in the first meeting after the nationwide lockdown. State finance ministers likely to present the picture of revenue scenario in their respective states. ICMR says COVID pandemic in India is not at the community transmission stage. Mortality rate and infections per lakh population is much less as compared to the global average. Sero surveillance results made public. Steps taken to contain the pandemic, such as nationwide lockdown, proved successful. Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan reviews preparedness for COVID-19 management in Maharashtra through video conferencing. Why Bhopal to remain closed on Saturdays and Sundays to curb spread of the virus. In South, Karnataka cabinet decides to bar online classes for students from class 1st to class 7th. The number of recovered patients of COVID-19 climbs higher as compared to those still actively infected. Recovery rate goes up to 49.47% with over 1,47,000 patients cured and discharged. Active cases more than 1.41 lakh. Global count of coronavirus infected cases crosses 75 lakh with more than 4.2 lakh deaths. US worst affected with over 20 lakh confirmed cases. Death toll in Brazil crosses a grim mark of 40,000. Good morning, you're watching DT News and I'm Preeti presenting the bulletin. Our top story first. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is holding the 40th GST Council meeting over video conferencing. The state finance ministers are likely to present the assessment of the revenue loss due to implementation of GST. GST Council is set to meet for the first time after the nationwide lockdown, and the Council is expected to discuss the revenue shortfall and the compensation to the states. Council will likely decide on ways to garner funds to compensate states for the revenue loss due to GST implementation. In the previous Council's meeting on March 14th, Nirmala Sitharaman had said that the centre will look into the legality of GST Council borrowing from market to meet the compensation requirements. India's first Sero survey on COVID-19 spread has found that lockdown and containment measures were successful in preventing a rapid rise in the infections. The survey found that infection fatality rate is very low at 0.08% and infection in containment zones was found to be high with significant variations. According to the union government, states have to continue testing and tracing, keeping up with effective surveillance, implementation of COVID-19 containment strategies. Director General of ICMR asserted that the country is not in the community transmission stage. Good news is that the mortality rate in India is very low as compared to other countries and the global average.
India is such a large country and the prevalence is so low that we have found that the prevalence is less than 1% in these small districts. In the urban areas it may be slightly higher, in the containment areas it may be slightly higher. But we are definitely, India is not in community transmission.
Meanwhile, India's COVID-19 recovery rate further showed improvement. The number of recovered patients from COVID-19 infection have exceeded the number of active patients for the third consecutive day today. And according to the Health Ministry, 1,47,194 patients have been cured and discharged, while the total number of active cases is 1,41,842. Union Minister for Health and Family Welfare, Dr. Harshvardhan, yesterday held a high-level meeting on the preparedness for COVID-19 management in Maharashtra through video conferencing. Officials of Health Ministry, Maharashtra, State Health Minister, Medical Education Minister and DMs of COVID-19 affected districts attended the review meeting. The Health Minister personally interacted and reviewed the status of COVID-19 and its management with districts of Mumbai, Thane, Pune, Nashik, Palghar, Nagpur and Aurangabad. Speaking on the current scenario of COVID-19 in Maharashtra, Dr. Harshvardhan said that increase in number of containment zones needs immediate attention. Also, vulnerability mapping of densely populated areas should be done for effective containment strategy to be put in place. He also told the state officials that testing labs should ensure prompt delivery of reports of COVID-19 tests to help in timely detection and management of COVID-19 patients.
आप सब लोग महाराष्ट्र के अपनी हिम्मत को कमज़ोर ना होने दें और सब विषय पर पूरी पैनी निगाह रखें, एक दूसरे की गुड प्रैक्टिसेस को अपनाने की कोशिश करें। विद इन द स्टेट ऑल्सो और विद इन द कंट्री ऑल्सो बहुत सारे स्टेट्स ने बहुत अलग अलग तरह की गुड प्रैक्टिसेस को अपनाया है। उनका सभी जो ऑफिसर्स हैं वो अध्ययन करें, अपने कुलीग ऑफिसर्स से शेयर करें और उसके बाद उनको अपने यहाँ पर भी इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगे। तो मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि आने वाले समय में हमें अच्छी प्रकार से सफलता मिलेगी।
Shama Mishra is joining us from Mumbai to get us more on that. Shama, we just told our viewers about the meeting which the Health Minister held yesterday with different officials to assess the situation in Maharashtra. You let us know the current updates from the state of Maharashtra as regards COVID-19.
Well, if we are to talk about the total positive cases in the state of Maharashtra, as we already know that the state cases has already crossed the 97,000 mark, and every day we are seeing a new record that has been registered from the state of Maharashtra. Mumbai alone stands with a total positive cases of more than 52,000, and we are also seeing a grave situation here where total death every day is reaching towards 3-digit numbers, and that situation is really painful and disappointing. We are also seeing that the total active cases in the state of Maharashtra from the 97,000 total cases is more than 47,000 cases. So we can say that the total number of the rate of recovery in the state of Maharashtra is getting better, but the situation is still can't be termed as a situation is good. Apart from this, we are also seeing that, at many places, since there were ease in the current lockdown, and there were a lot of services that started functioning, a lot of offices that opened up. After that, we were seeing a lot of visuals coming out from different places of Mumbai metropolitan region, that is the MMR, Thane, Kalyan, Dombivli, and these areas where people travel all the way from these places to Mumbai for their work. Huge queues of people waiting for the BEST bus to take them to their destination. And these queues were almost 2 to 3 kilometers long. So people had to wait for 4 to 5 hours at a stretch, some places. So Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray has again reiterated from the center that only for the essential services workers that there are going for the offices and other important work, local train services should start for these people and not for anybody else. So definitely we could hear something on that. But given the situation that Maharashtra's current condition is not improving, how likely or how feasible this step would be, only time will tell. Apart from this, we are also seeing a lot of cases coming out. A lot of people were booked for flouting lockdown norms because these people who don't have any work, don't have any essential work to go out, they are still going out on marine drives, sea faces at these places. So police are booking these people, and time and again, everyone is requesting that those who are not having an important work should stay at home. And even Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray, day before yesterday, he took a press conference after an important meeting and did mention, and he hinted that if situation remains the same, if the lockdown norms are flouted time and again, then he would be forced to impose another lockdown in the state of Maharashtra or in the Mumbai city itself. So it is us, the people of Mumbai, the people of Maharashtra, who have to be responsible, who have to maintain all the social distancing norms, who have to take care of the entire situation, to live the new normal and be a responsible citizen.
All right, so it is for the people to act responsibly. Thank you so much, Shama, for joining us with those updates from Mumbai. And senior NCP leader and Minister of Social Justice in Maharashtra State Cabinet, Dhananjay Munde, has tested positive for COVID-19. And MLA from Parli, Munde is the third Minister of State in the Maharashtra cabinet who has been found infected from the virus. Right now, he is under treatment. In Madhya Pradesh, Health and Home Minister Narottam Mishra has informed that Bhopal will remain closed for 2 days, that is Saturdays and Sundays every week. He added that negligence and lapses in treatment will not be tolerated. He also ordered an inquiry into non-treatment of a patient by the fever clinic of JP Hospital.
पूरा मध्य प्रदेश लगभग संभल गया है। भोपाल का है, अब आज ये भी तय किया है कि अब भोपाल 5 दिन खुलेगा, पूरा भोपाल खुलेगा 5 दिन, और 2 दिन शनिवार इतवार इसको बंद रखेंगे।
And Aditya Srivastava is joining us from Bhopal to get us more. Aditya, special directives coming in from the state government that Bhopal will remain closed on Saturdays and Sundays. Let us know more about the current situation as regards COVID-19 in Madhya Pradesh.
The number of coronavirus patients rose to 10,241, while 431 patients have died so far in Madhya Pradesh. 7,042 people have recovered the infection so far, while the number of active cases are 22,768 around. We can say that it is half of active cases. We can say the coronavirus recovery rate in Madhya Pradesh has gone up to 68.6% around, which is the second best in the country after Rajasthan. And the Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has held a review meeting regularly, and he also said official and gave directions to the officials of the coronavirus situation in the state. In the meeting, which meeting held yesterday in Madhya Pradesh, it was informed that the case of coronavirus in the state are doubling in 31 days, while at the national level cases are doubling in about 14 days. And the situation in Bhopal is not improving. So the government of MP, Shivraj Singh Chauhan, is taking decision that the agenda, especially the agenda of yesterday meeting, was only in Bhopal. So the government had decided to open only 5 days in Bhopal, all the market in Monday to Friday, and Saturday Sunday may remain closed in Bhopal. But the relaxing point is that no case have been found before 10 days in Alirajpur, Harda, Hoshangabad, Sivni, Jhabua and Sihor. This is the relaxing point for, we can say, Madhya Pradesh. But yes, the people are aware, people maintain social distancing, but the challenge in Bhopal and Indore for the government of MP to recover, how they recover the figures, how they improve the figures in Madhya Pradesh. This is which goes around 10,000 across.
All right, people are acting responsibility, and still measures are being put by the government there. Thank you so much, Aditya, for joining us with those inputs. And Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh has also ordered lockdown on weekends and public holidays, with movement to be restricted to e-passes holders. Now, all citizens except medical staff and essential service providers will be required to download e-pass from the COVA app. Industry, however, will be allowed to function normally on all the days. The Chief Minister has asked DGP Dinkar Gupta to ensure strict implementation of these directives to prevent gathering of large crowds. And down south in Karnataka, the cabinet has decided to bar online classes for students from class 1st till class 7th. Earlier on Wednesday, the state government had decided to not allow online classes till 5th standard. Schools across the country have been shut since March 25th due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and several of them have been conducting online classes during the lockdown. Karnataka government also said that collecting fee in the name of online classes should be stopped immediately. In another major decision, the government also decided to go ahead with class 10th board exams as scheduled from June 25th. Though there were demands to postpone the exams, the government said that it is prepared to go ahead with the exams for the classes, taking precautionary measures and safety of the students. Telangana and Tamil Nadu governments have already cancelled class 10th examinations. Meanwhile, Chennai and the three northern districts of Chengalpattu, Tiruvallur and Kanchipuram continue to witness sharp spikes of COVID-19 cases on a daily basis. Chennai accounted for 1,407 cases, a new high for the third day running on Thursday, while Chengalpattu and Tiruvallur districts reported the next highest numbers with 127 and 72 cases respectively. 1,875 people tested positive for COVID-19 in Tamil Nadu on Thursday. They included 1,837 residents and 38 who had returned from outside the state. Also, a record 23 deaths were reported on Thursday. Philip Matthews is joining us on phone line to get us more on that. Philip, we've seen that Chennai has accounted for more cases, which means this means that there is a new high for the third consecutive day on Thursday. Let us know more details as per the current situation, as regards the current situation in the state.
Well, that's right. In fact, Chennai has been recording new highs for quite some time. In fact, over the last couple of weeks, we've seen Chennai recording over 1,000 cases per day. And on most days, it have been, new records have been, in a sense, created because the highs keep going up and up. Of course, state government officials say that this is partly due to the fact that there are clusters of cases emerging in North Chennai, especially in certain highly congested wards like Royapuram and Thiruvikanagar. These are places where there are a lot of settlements and people live in rather congested surroundings, and this has enabled the virus to spread rather quickly. Of course, measures are being taken now to ensure that the cases are brought under control, but it will take a while before the results of that are seen. Micro-containment strategies are being adopted in the worst hit areas. Areas are being, special sanitation drives are being carried out. The elderly are being screened for symptoms of influenza in these areas. So a number of steps are being taken, but it will take some time for the results of that to be visible. At the moment, the government is focusing its attention on Chennai as well as the surrounding districts of Tiruvallur and Chengalpattu. These are the areas where the focus is at the moment, and the officials we spoke to are hopeful that the tide will turn in the next week or so.
All right, Philip, thank you so much for joining us with those inputs. And considering more number of people returning and spike in the number of new cases, Kerala government has come out with a new set of guidelines for quarantine and also has redefined the rules for declaring new containment zones. Now, according to the expert committee, those coming from abroad can go home after giving an affidavit, but they will have to follow the quarantine conditions strictly. Police will take legal action against those who violate quarantine rules. Those who register on the COVID Jagrat portal should give an affidavit about home quarantine. They can also choose their own house or any other suitable house. The local self-government bodies should make sure that they have enough facilities at home for quarantine. Institutional quarantine is only for those who do not have such a facility at home. Paid quarantine is for those who opt to stay in hotels. The Chief Minister also announced some changes to the definition of containment zones. The containment zones will now be notified every night before 12. In the panchayats, the containment zone may be declared at the ward level and in the corporation at the sub-ward level. They can be defined at a very local level based on the number of positive cases for people under quarantine, primary contacts and secondary contacts. Initially, the containment zone will be declared for 7 days, which can be extended after review by the district collector. Ranthambore National Park is beaming with life again. With the opening of the park, tourists have started enjoying the tiger safari. With proper thermal screening and sanitization of the vehicles, tourists are enjoying their rides, and yes, face mask is a must for this visit. Tourists are surely enjoying this adventure with all due precautions.
अच्छा है ये सारा सुविधा जो डिपार्टमेंट ने किया है, और सारे लोग जो है एंट्री पॉइंट्स पे अपना जो है काम कर रहे हैं, गाड़ी सैनिटाइजिंग, टायर खास करके, और थर्मल चेक तो है ही ज़रूरी, उसके साथ साथ मास्क सैनिटाइज़र गाड़ी में रखना, बीच बीच में सारी चीज़ों का ध्यान रखना। तो डिपार्टमेंट ने अपनी तरफ से बहुत अच्छा काम किया है और हमारा भी ये कर्तव्य बनता है कि अगर डिपार्टमेंट इस वक्त जिसमें सारा ये बीमारी फैली हुई है, हम भी अपनी तरफ से भी ध्यान रखें जी सर, जिससे कि सारी चीज़ें हाथ मिला करके होती है। डिपार्टमेंट हमारे लिए कर रहा है, हम भी डिपार्टमेंट अपना फ़र्ज़ निभाएं एक अच्छे पर्यटक की तरह।
And in some other news, elections for 24 seats of Rajya Sabha are scheduled to be held on June 19th. Today is the last date of withdrawing nominations. Following initial announcement of elections for 55 seats, 37 candidates were elected unopposed. 18 seats are still vacant, for which elections will take place on June 19th. Later, the Election Commission added 6 more seats, following which now elections are being held for a total of 24 seats. Interesting fight is being witnessed in 4 states, including Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and Jharkhand. In Jammu and Kashmir, a terrorist who recently joined LET from Khojpura in the Shopian district has been apprehended by joint teams of 1 Rashtra Rifles and SOG Zainapura in Khojpura. A 9mm pistol and other war-like stores have been recovered from his possession. Some international news now. The International Criminal Court has said that US President Donald Trump's authorization of economic and travel sanctions against ICC employees amounted to threat and coercion. The ICC said these sanctions were an unacceptable attempt to interfere with the rule of law. The ICC said that it stood by its staff and officials and described US sanctions as being the latest in the series of unprecedented attacks on the court. Earlier, US President imposed sanctions on court officials who are investigating whether US forces committed war crimes in Afghanistan. The executive order allows the US to block the assets of International Criminal Court employees and stop them from entering the country. The ICC investigation began after a preliminary report found reason to believe that war crimes had been committed. After the executive order was signed, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo clearly said that Washington would not allow Americans to be threatened by a kangaroo court. He added that the sanctions could extend to family members of ICC officials to prevent them from visiting the United States.
We cannot, we will not stand by as our people are threatened by a kangaroo court. And indeed, I have a message to many close allies around the world. Your people could be next, especially those from NATO countries who fought terrorism in Afghanistan right alongside of us. We're also gravely concerned about the threat the court poses to Israel. ICC is already threatening Israel with an investigation of so-called war crimes committed by its forces and personnel in the West Bank and in the Gaza Strip.
The European Union's diplomatic chief, however, expressed serious concern at the move and reiterated the 27 member bloc's support to the court. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu backed Trump's move, praising him for taking action against the corrupt and biased International Criminal Court, which he accused of conducting witch hunts against Israel. The number of infections worldwide for COVID-19 is increasing manifolds. According to the data from Johns Hopkins University, global count of coronavirus infected cases has crossed 75 lakh with more than 4.2 lakh deaths. Now, as per the latest update, 75 lakh 14,475 people have been infected, while over 4.21 lakh people have lost their lives due to COVID-19. While the United States tops with the highest number of infected cases, over 20.23 lakh and over 1.13 lakh deaths due to the pandemic, Brazil stands second with over 8.02 lakh cases, followed by Russia with 5.01 lakh confirmed cases of COVID-19. Though the number of cases of COVID-19 is increasing, but many countries have decided that this is the right time to ease the lockdown restrictions. Europe could face a surge of COVID-19 infections in the coming weeks caused by mass protests in the continent over the last few days. Tens of thousands of protesters have crowded together in Europe's big cities in recent days to demonstrate against racism after the killing in the United States of George Floyd while in police custody. Most European countries have passed the peak of the outbreak and are gradually reopening business and borders as infections went gingerly down in the past weeks. Before recent protests, scientists expected a second wave only after the summer, but mass gatherings might impact this positive trend if social distancing is not adhered to. And Geneva's 129-year-old famous Jet de Fontaine burst back to life on Thursday, marking the end of the third phase of softening of the city's COVID-19 lockdown measures. Officials reopened the walls to the fountain, whose waters normally reach 140 meters into the air at 200 kilometers per hour during a ceremony attended by World Health Organization Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus. Tedros hailed the fountain's restart, a kind of release for the city as life slowly goes back to normal. Geneva residents were happy to see their liquid monument coming back to life, which has long been a symbol of the city's strength and resilience. With more than 5,000 cases and almost 300 deaths, Geneva has been one of the most affected cantons in Switzerland. Geneva State Council President praised the WHO's work and firmly condemned some political leaders for blaming the agency for the crisis. That's it in this edition of the News This Hour. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.